Andy, Michael, welcome to NvTv.
Thank you.
If I could just start by asking Andy about a somewhat disturbing rumour I've heard, and this might not be true at all. I hear that you're a Chelsea season ticket holder.
I am. I've been for years. Yes, since I got my first season ticket in 1994, and I've had one ever since.
Okay, and big match tonight now.
I know.
What do you reckon?
I think it's going to be really tough. I think as long as we get an early goal, if we do even get an early goal. But I mean, 5 wins in a row with Hiddink, and which I'm very impressed at, because I kind of was hoping we'd maybe get Steve Clark back into the fold. And, but I'll be watching tonight. Anyway, I'm staying at my folks' house tonight, and they've got like the channel that's showing it. So.
Okay. Well, obviously, I can't talk all about football. You've got a new record coming out, Crooked Timber. It's an album with a lot of sort of big ideas and big sounds, and really pushing and experimenting. If I can just start by asking you about the actual title, Crooked Timber, taken from a quote by Immanuel Kant. Right. What was it about that was so sort of resonant that you wanted to call the record that?
Well, to be honest, we had the song written. The Crooked Timber song itself was written way before we got an album title. And I just, whenever I first, I got it indirectly through Samuel Beckett, because I'm a great fan of Samuel Beckett, and his work is opaque enough at the best of times. So I went to study a little bit of it, and a lot of the stuff he'd written in the 50s was inspired by philosophy and psychology. And Kant was one of the names that came up when I was reading about it. And then I was just kind of like Bluffer's Guide to Kant, more or less. I came across this quote, and it's from the Crooked Timber of Humanity, no straight thing was ever made. And I actually found that quite a fantastic quote. I thought it's like almost like saying, well, you are what you are, and as human beings are, what resonated with me is that you kind of, the hand that you're given, people will always find a way to get on. You know, the human race as such has dealt with an awful lot of misery and blows over all the centuries. And I thought that was quite good, and it also fit it in with the kind of, I suppose this is, for want of a word, probably the midlife crisis record. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, and that really struck a chord with me about just the fact that no matter what happens, you always seem how to manage to get on.
And sort of talking about that, and whatever hand you're dealt, you find a way to cope and deal with that. Enjoy the struggle as well.
Yeah.
It's about it, sort of embracing life, and all its challenges.
Yeah.
And you seem to be really embracing the creative challenges on this record in terms of sound. You don't want to just regurgitate and retread what you've done before. Is that a very conscious thing that you sort of set out to do something different each time? Well,
certainly with this record it was really conscious that we had to kind of do something slightly off the path for us. Probably because of the fact that we've been around so long, and I think every now and then we do need to shake ourselves up, because we signed the record deal with a new company over a year before we did the album. And I think we kind of realised that if we just rushed in and didn't really think it through properly. So to go away and sort of have a few ideas, and whenever we got together to do the album, we kind of the interesting thing about this record, which I really, really enjoyed in the process of it, was that everything was done from the ground up when we were in the rehearsal room. There was no kind of 3/4 finished songs brought in, or I didn't bring in like a chord progression and some lyrics, or Michael didn't bring in like a lot of riffs, and we kind of went in and we just started with what we had that day, and we worked on it, and we worked on it all day, and we put some lyrics on it as well, which things like Enjoy the Struggle that you mentioned, it came from talking about the myth of Sisyphus, the guy condemned to push a rock up a hill, and but little things like trying to make the riff sound as if it's fallen back in itself, so and that was a challenge for us. I mean, without it sounding pretentious, it just meant that with us it was brilliant fun to do. Because, when you're sort of saying, well, how do we make this riff sound as if it's collapsing in itself? And it's a really simple thing. But whenever you actually put that bit of effort into it, the dividends are greater, I think, in the long run.
And I read you sort of describe the process of making this record. You gave yourselves a time to write and record. Historically, is that always the way you've worked, that you've given yourself the time, or have you sort of had to work more quickly on previous records?
I think it sort of depends on the record. I think prior to this particular album, we were quite concerned about getting in there, capturing the moment, capturing the energy. Whereas with this one, we gave ourselves the luxury of being able to go back and re-listen to stuff and try things a different way. But it was good in that respect. We could revisit certain ideas and develop certain things that maybe when we wrote them weren't fully developed, and sort of get that. The songs moved quite a bit from the original rehearsals.